A few years ago, Barry Fishman and I conducted a study at the conclusion of a large randomized control trial. The study was of a program called SimCalc Math Worlds that my colleagues at SRI International and UMass Dartmouth had developed. The study was incredibly successful. The program had big impacts on all children who participate, on Latino students, on white students, low-income students, more economically advantaged students, boys and girls alike. So when we went in the year after to see who was still using the program, we expected a lot of teachers to still be using SimCalc Math Worlds. But only half of the teachers were still using the program. And who were those teachers? They were the teachers of the highest achieving students. It was a case of a Matthew effect. The rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. I argue that this is just an artifact of our research and development program and process in the United States, where when the research funding ends, the researchers go away. We need a different model, and I'm going to argue also for a partnership model here for getting to equitable teaching and learning at scale. And say, we know quite a bit about how to go about this. Getting to equitable teaching and learning at scale requires political will and activism to combat deficit views of youth and expand access to opportunities to learn. It requires resources in the form of curriculum that connects to young people's interests, experiences, and cultural life worlds, and professional development for teachers to know how to implement them, and all of the infrastructure of assessments and pacing guides that go with that. And it requires teacher ownership and buy-in to work at all. I argue that partnership is the only way that we can get there. This picture shows a model of our research and development system for producing evidence-based programs. On the left of the model, researchers design and develop programs that they then test in efficacy and then effectiveness trials. And if lucky, the effectiveness trials find evidence for programs that can work under routine conditions in a wide variety of contexts. The problem is nearly every program that is ambitious has to be adapted to its local context. And the routine conditions of most schools and school districts will not allow those ambitious programs to survive. The model also calls for heavy involvement of researchers at the beginning of the process and heavy involvement and transfer of ownership to practitioners at the end. And the problem here is that many problems are caused by the introduction of these new programs, problems of implementation that we leave practitioners to solve on their own. And finally, in our focus on evidence-based programs and interventions, we're focused only on innovations and not on building the infrastructures that would allow those programs to be sustained. I liken our model as just like these skydivers. It's a transfer of ownership at high altitude. The high altitude is represented by the resources brought about by efficacy and effectiveness trials. We jump out of the plane together in those trials, and then we hand off the baton as researchers to practitioners and say, here, do this without any resources. We need a different model, and partnership, I think, is a little bit like team rafting in rapids. The rapids here represent the political landscape, the constant change that is our school and district environments. And we have to sail along those rapids. We have to navigate them, engage them, not pretend that they don't exist. And what are we making together? We're making together those curricular resources. We're making the assessments, the professional development work. Researchers and practitioners have to work together to do all of that. And most importantly, we need to stick around to help solve the problems of implementation that are caused by the things that we design. So what can you do to promote equity at scale? Go out and find a partner. Find a partner who shares your values, who shares your common aims, and work on their problems of practice that they face in their local context. Build and test resources together. Co-design materials, curriculum, assessments, professional development. And most important, stick around. help with the problems of implementation that arise from these. My colleagues at SimCalc, they took to heart what Barry and I found in our study. What did they do? They went out and found a partner in Florida. They worked with them to adapt the materials of SimCalc to the local standards and worked to build teacher leaders from across a wide variety of schools in the district. And they stuck around, and they replicated their results. We too can each engage in such successful work. We just have to get started. Thank you.